There is a truth so powerful, so unsettling, that most people spend their entire lives running away from it. Emptiness. People hear the word and instantly imagine nothingness, darkness, a void that threatens to swallow everything they love. But emptiness is not the monster the mind believes it is. Emptiness is the most misunderstood truth in human existence. And the deeper you go into this truth, the more you realize that emptiness is not the absence of life. Emptiness is the foundation of life itself. Take a slow breath. Let your mind soften. No need to escape. No need to resist. Emptiness is not here to take anything from you. Emptiness is here to show you what was never truly yours to begin with. Everything you believe is solid is not. Everything you believe is permanent is not. Everything you cling to with your heart, with your thoughts, with your identity, is shifting at every moment. Look at your thoughts. They appear from nowhere, dance in the mind for a moment, then disappear without a trace. You cannot catch a thought. You cannot freeze it. You cannot own it. If thoughts were solid, permanent, and real in the way you imagine them, you would have disappeared thousands of times already into the shifting winds of your own thinking. But you didn't, because thoughts are empty. Look at your emotions. Anger feels like fire. Love feels infinite. Fear feels heavy. Sadness feels like weight on the chest. Yet none of them stay. They rise, they peak, they fade. Sometimes emotions come without warning. Sometimes they leave without closure. What is anger made of? What is fear made of? They seem so strong, yet they dissolve like mist when the conditions that created them change. Emotions are waves on the ocean of consciousness, but waves are not the ocean, and so emotions are empty.
Look at your body. It feels like one solid thing, one identity, one shape. But the body is a river. Cells dying, cells being born, blood moving, nerves firing, bones renewing, breath flowing. Every second, millions of processes are happening beyond your awareness. The body is not a statue. It is a process, a movement, a temporary collection of elements passing through a moment in time. If the body were truly yours, you would control it. You would stop aging. You would stop sickness. You would stop decay. But the body is not something you own. The body is something you experience. The body is empty. And then look at your identity, your sense of me. People think identity is the strongest, most solid part of their existence. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I must protect. But identity is a story, a collection of memories, fears, desires, experiences, traumas, habits, expectations, beliefs taught by others, and thoughts repeated so many times that you began to accept them as truth. If even one memory changed, you would be a different person. If even one belief shifted, your identity would reshape itself. If even one experience in your life had gone differently, you would not be the person you think you are right now. Identity feels solid, but it is a shadow made from passing conditions. Identity, too, is empty. This is the heart of emptiness, not the idea that nothing exists, but the understanding that nothing exists in the solid, unchanging way you imagine. You are not a fixed object. You are not a frozen self. You are movement, transformation, conditions, energy, change. The Buddha did not say the world is nothing. He said the world is not what you think it is.
Why does the mind fear emptiness? Because the mind survives by clinging to thoughts, to feelings, to beliefs, to sensations, to labels, to stories, to desires. The ego says, "This is me, I must keep this, I cannot lose this, this must remain the same." But nothing remains the same. And so the ego lives in constant fear, fear of change, fear of loss, fear of uncertainty, fear of death. The ego depends on holding things that cannot be held, and that is why it suffers. Emptiness is frightening to the ego because emptiness reveals that the ego has no permanent foundation. Yet emptiness is not destruction. Emptiness is freedom. When you stop expecting permanence from impermanent things, suffering begins to dissolve. You do not lose your emotions, you simply stop drowning in them. You do not become detached from life, you become free to experience it without fear. You do not become empty in the depressing sense, you become open in the liberating sense. Emptiness is not about losing everything. Emptiness is about no longer being owned by anything. Consider desire. Every desire feels urgent. Every desire feels important. But desire gains its power from the illusion that what you crave will complete you. When you see emptiness, desire loses its grip. You realize nothing in the world can complete you because you were never incomplete. You were simply unaware of the spaciousness within you.
Consider fear. Fear is built on the assumption that something can destroy the true you. But what is the you that fear is trying to protect? A memory? A belief? An emotion? A temporary state of mind? When you see emptiness, fear loses its authority. You cannot fear the loss of what was never permanent in the first place. Consider suffering. All suffering can be traced back to clinging, to ideas, to identities, to expectations, to outcomes, to people, to how life should be. But emptiness shows that the world does not need to conform to your expectations. The world does not need your permission to change. And when you release the demand for stability in an unstable world, suffering begins to evaporate like mist under sunlight. This is why emptiness is peace. This is why emptiness is clarity. This is why emptiness is the path to liberation. Imagine flowing like water, taking the shape of each moment without resisting it. Imagine feeling emotions fully without becoming trapped inside them. Imagine thoughts passing through you like clouds through an open sky. Imagine identity becoming light, flexible, free. Imagine moving through life without fear of loss, because you understand that loss is simply transformation. Imagine no longer being threatened by change, because change cannot harm what is not rigid.
This is the gift of emptiness. When you truly understand emptiness, nothing can break you. Nothing can overwhelm you. Nothing can confine you. You become unshakable, not because you build walls, but because you stop trying to defend a self that was never solid. You can engage with the world more deeply, love more openly, experience more fully, and live more freely. Even death changes meaning. Death is not the end of you. Death is not the disappearance of a solid identity. Death is the continuation of a flowing consciousness transitioning into new conditions. Consciousness is not a solid object. It is a stream, a movement, a series of moments connected by causes. Death is simply another moment of change within the vast ocean of existence. This is why emptiness does not create fear, it dissolves it. The fear of death is the fear of losing something permanent. But when you understand emptiness, you realize there is no permanent thing to lose, only flowing experience, only shifting awareness, only transformation.
As you let this truth sink deeper, you begin to sense a spaciousness inside you, an open field untouched by the rise and fall of thoughts,
untouched by the drama of emotions, untouched by the stories of identity. This spacious awareness is not empty like a void. It is empty like open space, able to hold everything without being harmed by anything. You are not a small self trapped inside a body. You are not a fixed identity bounded by memories. You are not a rigid mind controlled by thoughts. You are awareness, open, spacious, fluid, free. And the more you understand emptiness, the more you understand your true nature. You are not a solid being moving through a changing world. You are a changing being moving through a changing reality. You are transformation, experiencing transformation. Emptiness is not the enemy of life. Emptiness is the freedom that allows life to move. Emptiness is the space that allows truth to enter. Emptiness is the opening through which wisdom flows. Let the mind soften. Let the ego loosen its grip. Let the need for control fade into the background. Let awareness expand like a silent sky. You are empty, and because you are empty, you are limitless.